thank you again for joining us. This is Couples Date Night. My name is Akwesi Apong, and this is a very, very special week. As you all know, all over the world, especially in North America, this is Valentine's Week, and I hope you were able to celebrate this wonderful occasion with some special people in your life. Even if you are single, you could still spend time with yourself. And I'm sure you made everybody feel special in some way, and you were also made to feel special. So as we gather today, we are going to talk about something quite unique. And as I always say, reach out to people you think this podcast will be a blessing to, and let them know about it. And just get ready for us to discuss something very interesting. So I will be right back. Hello again, my name is Akwesi Opong, and thank you for joining us again on Couples Date Night. We are very happy to have you all, and again, we hope that the past week has been delightful and you were able to do some special things with people in your life you care about, and you are here again to join us for another episode of our show and our broadcast. Today, I'm going to talk about unforgettable. When we say the word unforgettable, what comes into your mind? And I'm going to talk about this relating to relationships. So it could be any relationship in your life. But the question I want to ask today is, are you unforgettable when it comes to your relationship? Hopefully you have a spouse who is unforgettable, or a friend who is unforgettable. But what about you? Are you unforgettable? Every time I hear the word unforgettable, it actually reminds me of that classic song by Nat King Cole and his daughter Natalie Cole. He sang it, but you remember that rendition they did on stage, even many years after Nat King Cole was dead. They used video technology to let him sing with his daughter on stage. Yeah, that was very unique, and you can go on YouTube to see this video. It's a very, very nice one. And if you look at the lyrics for the song Unforgettable, it says, "Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far, like a song of love that clings to me. How the thoughts of you goes things to me. Never before has anyone been more unforgettable in every way." And it goes on, and I would have played it, but because of copyright rules, I'm not going to. So when you have some time, listen to that song. But we're going to look at unforgettable in a different way. That what makes you unforgettable? What is it that makes somebody unforgettable when we say somebody is? And there are a couple of things I want to draw across. When I was thinking about this, I thought of a number of people I know who do certain things that make them unforgettable. And one of them is my wife and I, my family, we have a very good friend called Janie. And she actually has a business where she does staging. And one of the things she does is that the name of her business, and again, I'm going to advertise her here, but that was not my intention, but it's called Pineapple Staging. And every time she does work for her clients, she will leave a picture of a pineapple or some kind of artifact with the shape of a pineapple as part of her design. And as a result, it makes her very unforgettable. Anytime you see her work, you know that her signature is on it. You know that she put that there just to make it very, very special. We know a friend called Jim, who lives in the Boston area, and when you go to his house, no matter the food or the time you eat or the time of day, you're gonna eat ice cream because guess what? He makes his own ice cream. And he once said that if you bring commercial ice cream to his house, the building will shake. And he wasn't kidding because he does very, very nice ice cream. And the point I'm trying to make here is that he has this unique thing where he always makes sure that when you come to his house, you are going to go away with some ice cream. I have some more. Those of you who are, pop culture fans, you know Questlove. Questlove, if you can guess, he always has a comb in his hair. He has an afro and a comb is always sticking in his hair. And that's one thing that makes him unforgettable. I'm sure a lot of you will, if you see Questlove without the comb, you wonder what happened that day. And I have another person too, pop culture, called Chance the Rapper. If you can guess, what is unique with him? He always has a cap with a number 3 on it. I don't know what it means, but it makes him very unforgettable. So the question I have for you, and what I want us to talk about today is, what makes you unforgettable when it comes to your relationship? What's that one thing you do that really makes you stand out? What's the one thing you do that really people always think about you, or your spouse also always think about you, and say, you know what, my partner does this better, so, or my partner is very good at this, so I can't wait to get home to see my partner because I know my husband or wife has a nice meal waiting for me. And there are so many things that we can do at so many levels. It doesn't always have to be a style or fashion or an activity or an event, but it could be the little things that we do that can make us unforgettable. So today I'm going to go through a number of things. These are resources that I gathered from a number of places, and the first one we're going to look at is going to first of all set the stage for us to really understand what it means to be unforgettable, and then look at how we can start incorporating some of these ideas into our lives to help us be that person. Now, I want to say this and point this out, that if you are an unforgettable person, it doesn't mean it's an opportunity to be egotistical or brag or do things that will gain attention. That's not what it is. Doing things to make you unforgettable means that you're passionate about what you do. And I can tell you, a lot of these people don't do it because they want to impress somebody, but that's a passion they have. That's something they feel good about. That's something that comes to them naturally, and they go along with it. As a result, it makes them very unforgettable. So the first thing I'd like to say, and my resource today is coming from the trulycharming.com. It's an online resource where you find all kinds of articles, and they had something very interesting about being unforgettable, and I'm going to share some of it, not all of it. So the first thing this article pointed out is being a natural giver. If you are able to give, you're generous, in your relationships and even in your day-to-day lives, the things that you do for your partner or your spouse makes you unforgettable. So every occasion you look for an opportunity to do so. I have a very wonderful aunt, called Cheryl. And every occasion she'll send me a card, or my wife or my daughter. It looks like she has a box of cards sitting on her desk with stamps just ready to go. And that makes her very unforgettable, because she's generous. And it's a simple thing as a card. So on every occasion, every birthday, she'll just write a card and put it in the mail. and it makes her very unforgettable. So what is yours? What is that one thing you do that you give to people, or generosity, you express generosity that helps people to really remember your generous act? And another thing, as I talk about this, you realize being unforgettable means that you're doing things for people. It's always outward. It's always things that it extends to people. I remember years ago we visited a friend. He had put up a Christmas tree, and when we got to her house, she said, "Hey, what do you think about my Christmas tree?" I said, "It looks great, but where your tree is in the corner. You have to put it by the window so that people outside will enjoy it. Because when I'm driving around and I see Christmas tree through the window, it makes me smile. So whilst you are enjoying it with your family, people out there could also smile. So it's not always about us. It's about other people as well. So let's think that in relation to our relationships, that the things we do, is it outward facing? How do the people around us also benefit from it? It's important because it's going to help us to always know that in relationship, it's always never about just ourselves, but it's also about the people around us. Secondly, people who are unforgettable have a good sense of humor, and they don't take themselves too seriously. Having a good sense of humor is a good thing. And this is not to say that you're going to steal the show and jump in every occasion and try to, make fun of yourself, but you keep things light. You have a way of making sure that, there's humor in the things you say, you make people laugh. If you're not that kind, you can always have a way of, expressing things that will put a smile on people's faces. So let's have that in mind, that having a good sense of humor, or, laughing at yourself, or, not taking yourself too seriously, is a very important way, and it's one of the ways by which we can become unforgettable in the things we do. So, the next thing is something not to do that will make you unforgettable, and that is never try to impress others. Never try to impress others. I think I said earlier that all the people I mentioned, they do the things they do because they are extending it to other people. They want to touch other people's lives. They want them to feel loved and cared for. And if we do that, we don't have to do anything more, to try to score points, or try to, impress people at any level, because we are naturally expressing ourselves in connecting and loving and showing generosity. As a result, we will not be trying to impress people. And at any point, if we feel that we're doing what we're doing to impress somebody, then it's time to change course. It's time to rethink what we're doing. So, as we think about these things, ask yourself, how are you applying some of these things into your relationships? Are you making sure that you are the person that people want to be around with? You're the person that brings smile and laughter to people. You're generous with people, with your time and your resources. All these things are very, very important as we talk about being unforgettable. My name is Akwesi Opong. This is Sunlight Radio Online. We will be right back. Hello again, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Akwesi Opong, and today we are talking about being unforgettable in your relationship and in your life. No matter the relationship you have going on in your life, it's important that we are unforgettable. And I've already talked about, people I know or people in our society or community that do things that make them unforgettable. And there's a story I like to read to you. It's actually in the Bible, and it's quite interesting. And once I tell you about it, you wonder why I'm referring to this person, this character, as somebody who is unforgettable. But it's the story of a lady called Abigail. She was one of David's wives. And as the story goes in 1 Samuel 25:14, I'm going to read a section of it and you will get the full story. It says, one of Nabal's servants spoke to Nabal's wife Abigail. So Abigail was married to Nabal before she got married to David. So the servant said, David sent messengers from the desert to meet our master, which is Nabal. But Nabal was rude to them. These men were very good to us while we were out in the fields with the sheep. David's men were with us the whole time, and they never did anything wrong to us. They did not take anything from us. His men protected us day and night. They were like a wall around us. They protected us while we were with them, caring for the sheep. Nabal was foolish to say what he did. Terrible trouble is coming to our master and his family. You need to think of something to do. So you see, the way the story goes is that when David's servant came to Nabal to ask for help, resources, food, and other things, Nabal was nasty to David. And as it was done back then, when he was nice to somebody and didn't get the payback, I believe back then it was the ultimate action. He was just going to go overtake them, fight, take all their plunder, and enjoy it. But the story goes that Nabal's wife was told by a servant what had happened. So verse 18 says, Abigail quickly gathered 200 loaves of bread. I cannot imagine 200 loaves of bread. 2 full wine bags, 5 cooked sheep, about a bushel of cooked grain, and 2 quarts of raisin, and 200 cakes of pressed figs. She put them in a donkey. Then Abigail told the servant, go, I'll follow you. But she did not tell her husband. So as the story goes, Abigail drove her donkey down to the side of the mountain. She met David and his men coming from the other direction. And apparently, David and his men were coming to destroy them. So David was saying, I protected Nabal's property in the desert. I made sure none of his sheep were missing. I did all that for nothing. I was good to him, but he was rude to me. I swear I won't let even one man in Nabal's family live until tomorrow morning. That's a serious issue going on here. So just then Abigail arrived. When she saw David, she quickly got off her donkey, bowed down with her face to the ground in front of him. Abigail fell at his feet and said, Sir, please let me talk to you. Listen to what I say. Blame me for what happened. I didn't see the young man you sent. Sir, don't pay any attention to that wordless man Nabal. His name means foolish, and that is what he is. The Lord has kept you from killing an innocent people. And it goes on, and it talks about how Abigail gave all these gifts to David and his servants. And when you jump to verse 32, it says, David answered Abigail, praise the Lord, the God of Israel. Praise God for sending you to meet me. God bless you for the good judgment. You kept me from killing innocent people. So the point I'm trying to make here is this wife realized his family was in danger as a result of his husband's actions. So she took it upon herself to take steps to make sure that this doesn't happen. She, as you said, 200 loaves of bread. She made cakes with figs and all the different things that she put together and sent it ahead to David as a peace offering, or as a kind of something to bridge the gap or to reduce the anger of the king. So the point I'm trying to make here, as you read the story further, I told you that soon after Nabal died, and when he died, Abigail became single, a widower but single. But then David found out that she was single, and I believe, I wasn't there, but I believe that what actually made David decide to marry Abigail is the fact that Abigail did something that was unforgettable. You know, look at the effort. Can you imagine baking 200 loaves of bread? I don't even know how long it took her to do that, or maybe she had it somewhere in the house. I don't have 200 loaves of bread in my house, and I've not seen my wife baking. So, but that doesn't mean she doesn't. But the point I'm making here is that she really took steps to make sure that evil didn't befall her and her family. And the important key lesson I want us to take here is that what are the things we are doing to make us unforgettable? And the point here is not saying you're going to do something to get at your husband or your wife, but the little things that we do to make us unforgettable, the steps that we take to prevent quarrel. If you have friends and you realize that, two of them are getting at each other, you silently call one of them and say, you know what, I see where things are going. Can you just let things go, just forget. You bury the hatchet, as they call it. You resolve issues. You don't let things flame up and you sit down and enjoy and see people quarrel and fight and all of that. It doesn't add to us. Are you unforgettable? What are the things that you do that let people remember you? So this is one story that I wanted to share that, indeed made Abigail very unforgettable. So if you know anybody called Abigail, this is a story about, one of the first Abigails we ever knew, that she was a very unforgettable woman. So moving along on our resources, being unforgettable means that you have strong boundaries. Strong boundaries mean that, we've talked about being generous, being helpful, resolving conflicts, and doing all these things. But being unforgettable also means that you have boundaries. You know when to say yes, and you know when to say no. You know when to say, I think I'm tired, I need to get some rest. You know how to take care of yourself. You know how to respect people's time. You know how to show respect to your husband, and if you're a husband, you know how to show love to your wife. It all comes down to boundaries. So this is one way that people will remember you for, knowing that when you say yes, you mean it, and when you say you cannot do something, they truly believe you, because you always show up when people really need you and when you are in the position to do that. So it's important to always make sure that you have very good boundaries, and not only that, but you also live by your boundaries. Never give up on who you are or your standards and on your passions, as long as this doesn't interfere with respecting others. Be yourself. It's very, very important. So keeping your boundaries is one of the things that will make you unforgettable. So the next thing is having your emotions under control. So if you haven't listened, we do have one of these podcasts on emotional intelligence in your marriage. If you can go back to our website, which is www.enjoylifewithyourspouse.org, you will find it. And that will really help you to learn about emotional intelligence. Having your emotions under control will make you unforgettable. I don't know if you've had this situation happen, but you go somewhere to, a shop, and you have a very angry customer. I've actually experienced that in my local hardware store, where an angry customer came in and was upset because I think there's an order that was wrong, and she was screaming and saying all kinds of nasty things to this lady at the counter, and this lady just stood there with a beautiful smile on her face. And I just stood back and I'm like, oh man, it was almost like she was just fanning the flame, but she was just under control. keeping her emotions in check. Somebody could have blown up and said, forget about this job, I'm out of here. But she was under control. She had a smile on and asked the lady politely, how can I help? Should I call my manager? We can resolve this. And she got through it. And I actually, after that, complimented her approach to how she resolved the issue. So my question for you is, do you have your emotions under control? Do you have emotional intelligence where you're able to look at a situation and say, you know what, this is a situation I have to scream, this is a situation where I have to become upset, but I've decided I'm just going to be calm because this situation can be solved. You see, as I talk about this, I still remember this lady at the hardware store because she's become unforgettable, as a result of what she did. So these things always will help us to become unforgettable people, especially in your relationship, the things that you do to make sure that you are unforgettable. And at this point, I guess I might as well say it. One thing that my wife does that is very unforgettable is sometimes after a long day of work, she gets home, and even if we don't have any cooked food at home, she will make sure there's dinner and something for the rest of us to eat. Maybe I came home, I'm still working, or I'm working late, or maybe for whatever reason I wasn't available. She will make sure that there's something. And that's one thing that makes her very unforgettable. So what are you doing to make you unforgettable? This is not about being who you're not, but it's about doing something from your heart that will really touch the people around you, that will really show what is in your heart to make other people feel they are important to you. So, what are some of the other things unforgettable people do? They are genuinely happy for other people's success. Isn't that amazing? If somebody, your friend calls you and said, hey, I just got a promotion at work, how happy are you? How excited are you about this new opportunity your friend just got? Or are you going to be bitter and angry that you never get opportunities and your friend keeps getting promotions? Maybe you should examine what is going on here. Maybe that bitterness is keeping you from getting that promotion. And are you genuinely happy when something good comes the way of your wife or your husband? I'm sure that's not for any of you, but it will be really, really, really sad if you have a spouse and you're not happy when good things come their way. Because think about it, if your wife gets a promotion or a bonus or anything, it's for both of you. That is, if both of you have combined your resources and are living genuinely and sharing your money and your resources together, it should be something that both of you have to celebrate. So make sure that you're genuinely happy when good things happen for people. And I'm sure we can also add to it that when people go through difficult times, you genuinely share those times with them by comforting them, mourning with them, and supporting them in any way that you can. I think that's another way that will also make you very unforgettable. So at this point, we're going to take a short break, and as we come back, we're going to dig a little bit more deeper into looking at what makes us unforgettable. So as we go through this, I just want you to think about this. How can I make my relationships, especially with my spouse, unforgettable? How can I be unforgettable? What are some of the things I can do to always make sure that I am unforgettable? We'll be right